Belfast, Beirut. We're not the first city to have to deal with terrorism. This is New York City. We can take it.
You don't understand. These guys are pros. From the age of 12, they've been dodging people like you.
The situation is appalling. They're attacking our way of life. The president wants it stopped, and there's only one way to do that.
Are you saying the president is prepared to take the necessary steps?
Today, with the invocation of the War Powers Act by the president, I am declaring a state of martial law in this city. We intend to seal off this borough, and we intend to squeeze it.
Do you have any idea what you're starting here?
It's wrong. What if what they really want is for us to herd children in the stadiums like we're doing? And put soldiers on the street and have Americans looking over their shoulders? Bend the law, shred the Constitution just a little bit. We do that, and everything that we have bled and fought and died for is over.
Don't you ever again question my command, is that clear?
I'm not under your command, General.
Take a look around, tell me if you really think that's true.
Hello everyone, it's End Times Talk coming at you with a brand new video, and that movie clip that you just saw was from the movie The Siege. And you know, they've been showing us that they're going to bring in martial law to America for quite some time. They've been conditioning Americans for it, you know, since back in the early 80s with Red Dawn, and then movies like this, The Siege with Denzel Washington, about martial law being declared in New York City. Isn't it interesting, people, that with the Boston bombings, a similar event kind of happened where you had terrorist activity, and then all of a sudden martial law was declared in a major city, and they started taking guns from people. And if you don't think that soldiers will come to your door and try to take your guns, you're sadly mistaken. Check this video out with what happened during Katrina in Louisiana and New Orleans.
Today in New Orleans, they got a lot tougher on the holdouts.
Police department, anyone home?
Not only the flooded areas, but New Orleans' driest and wealthiest neighborhoods, too.
Police department!
The police and National Guard going street by street, house to house.
We need to make sure, too, that whenever we knock on doors, people refuse to leave. We need to make them call it in.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn. Instructions to disarm anyone inside.
You said guns will be taken. No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
They were a little bit threatened because our weapons were bigger than their weapons.
For many of the police and guard groups, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Yeah, you never expect to do this in your own country.
Chris Montgomery says he'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
Let me shoot in America.
Yeah.
I don't want you in here, period. But there's a mandatory evacuation. I know all about it. Well, Patricia.
You see, that old lady got tackled to the floor. Can you believe that? It's absolutely crazy, people. There are soldiers out there, a 25% of soldiers out there, who will follow orders and take guns from U.S. citizens and will you know, shoot on sight when they're given orders. You know what I mean? And that's the sad reality of the fact. Back during the Bill Clinton administration, there was a thing called the 29 Palm Survey, and the 29 Palm Survey, basically Obama redid it. Back in 1994, there was a thing called the Combat Arms Survey at 29 Palms. All right, and question 46, and they basically asked soldiers if they would be willing to fire upon an American citizen, and 25% of the soldiers said yes, that they would follow orders and fire upon an American citizen. So you have a certain amount of the military, even back in 1994, that would do that, and they've been dumbing down society so much that, you know, they have just a bunch of goons that'll follow orders. The good old boys that won't follow orders and that stand up for the Constitution, I worry that they're going to ship our soldiers off to some, you know, waste of a time war that they've been using to distract the public. I think that's going to cause America to be wide open for attack and also martial law. Now, my biological dad, he went through some martial law training, and he said that martial law takes manpower. He also stated that when martial law is enacted, all freeways, highways, and interstates, all right, are military property only. It's only for government personnel on those main drags, okay? And so, you know, everybody else has to use the back roads and the back routes, and here in the state that I live, they have all these roundabouts, and it's always around every turn or over the hill. You see what I'm saying? Just over the hill or just around the turn. Here's these roundabouts where there's a, you know, a four-way intersection, but in the center of it, there's a circle that you have to drive around, and you have to loop around that whole intersection to even get where you're going. And I've always told, you know, friends and whatnot that, you know, they'll have a checkpoint set up right on that roundabout. That's what's going to happen here in America. And they'll have probably some tent set up or some tank with a barrel pointed at you on that roundabout. Anyways, I hear they're also in Washington State as well, and other states. So this isn't just, you know, my state that they're doing it in. They're most definitely planning this elsewhere. And so, you know, there's a plan that's unfolding. There's all these centers that are being built all over the place. And I mean, it's actually quite frightening, people. I mean, people should take this 100% seriously. And there's even a movement online for, you know, people to get out and film your local FEMA camp and put it on social media. I mean, I think people should be doing this more often. People need to put themselves out there and expose these concentration camps that are being built. People have to expose it. Otherwise, people aren't going to know what's going on. People aren't going to know how many there are. And I mean, more and more and more are popping up. Check these videos out.
The FEMA plans to imprison American citizens have generated a lot of interest around the country in locating the potential prison camps throughout the country. These may be facilities currently being used as prisons, or facilities that have other uses but which could be quickly used to detain large numbers of people, such as this Amtrak facility in Beech Grove, Indiana. We're standing now in the main parking lot, which doesn't look too sinister. At this level, it is a very large parking lot, fenced on all sides by fence topped by barbed wire. There is also a surveillance camera. All of these apparent security measures are particularly unusual here, because this is a very low crime area, and this facility is nothing but an old train repair station with nothing in it worth stealing. In this portion of the parking lot is a brick building, suitable for processing, next to a gate that leads right out to the railroad tracks. This facility was supposed to have closed in June of 1993, yet instead several $1 million in federal funds have been spent on supposed renovations over the past 2 years. Inside this building we see more of the motion-activated detectors, electronic turnstiles, and prison bars, and putting in large gas furnaces on buildings that were never heated any time in the past 20 years. Inside the fenced area on the other side of the building, you'll see signs that say Red Zone, right up next to the railroad tracks that run the length of the fenced area. Next to the Red Zone sign, you can see closely numbered markers on the fences that are too closely spaced to be parking markers, just as if they plan to have people line up to board the trains. We see a large warehouse building at the end, with the electronic turnstiles in front of it, and its doors and windows have all been blocked. Outside there are new gas pipes, The gas lines and gas pipes at the facility run the length of the buildings and come out at some very, very large brand new furnaces that have been installed at the buildings throughout the facility. Inside the facility, we found large fenced-in areas next to the railroad tracks marked Green Zone and Blue Zone, suitable for holding a lot of people. Senator Lugar of Indiana recently obtained more federal funding to renovate this facility.
Okay, so I'm driving in Reeves County, Texas. It's literally the middle of nowhere. And here I happen upon these white containers. They're containers. They're definitely containers. But why is this all got barbed wire fence around it? And it's weird. And then in the back, you'll see later in this video that there are porta potties back there in the back. I'm coming from Big Bend National Park. And this is what I see.
And you see, it's not just FEMA camps. It's not just FEMA camps. It's even the Walmarts, people. It's even the Walmarts all over the place. Something weird is going on with the Walmarts. Check these videos out.
Okay, what's this Walmart, people? It's in the middle of Walmart. My favorite FEMA store. It's concrete, whatever.
Their little complex. It's an underground facility. It's like a base. That's the top of it. Why in the hell does Walmart Supercenter need that? See the Walmart trucks?
It's our Walmart here in Fernley, Nevada. Military trucks. All these containers here.
Humvees, tanks. See all that? So they're setting up for something. We don't know what it is or when it's coming, but we know it's going to involve Walmart and martial law. Midland Walmart. Completely gutted. Reporting from Midland, Texas. Walmart. Reporting from the Springdale Walmart, or the closed down Walmart in Ohio.
I want people to notice I'm on the back side of the compound, and this wire runs a lot farther than just the old Walmart. It wraps all the way up around David's Bridal.
The neighborhood Walmart in San Jose, California. This is what it has become. I did not want to believe it, but it's happening. Does this look like your friendly neighborhood Walmart to you? No. Anyone who knows anything about jail or anything about that knows what this is. That is a holding area.
See the camera. See the camera. There's one. Keep going, keep going. There's two. We got all these FEMA trucks. There's restrooms. There's some cameras. All these weren't here by then. About 2 years ago. Took them 2 years to set all this up. Big trailer. There's the showers, as y'all see, more toilets. Used to be a Walmart. All the Walmart's gonna get like this.
Isn't that strange? Isn't that strange? I'll even tell you, right where I live, literally just 3 or 4 blocks away, there's a high school, all right? And around the football field, there's a barbed wire fence, okay? And you have the high school, then you have a military armory. You have a U.S. armory, okay? And then right next to it, they have an electrical plant, okay? And then right after that, they have a military contractor that makes products for the military, and it's all in alignment. It's all in alignment. And so they're planning something. They're planning something. There's no coincidence that they parked the armory right next to a school that could be a concentration camp, and they just redid the whole entire school. People don't think they won't use the high schools and the elementary schools and the middle schools and the junior highs to house people in if there's people that need to be put into detention because people aren't going along with what the program is. And so, I mean, it's happening all over, but not just these buildings, okay? It's not just buildings. It's not just concentration camps all over. They're finding trains. They're finding these 3-tiered trains, okay, all over the place. And in the past, they've been used to ship cars and whatnot. But I'm telling you, people, they're putting windows in them. And I don't think cars need windows. So I would like you to check this video out.
It's widely known that the Nazis used trains to transport prisoners to concentration camps all over the region. A one-way in, no way out scenario. That's why many around America began to raise awareness when more and more 3-story freight cars were appearing on railroad tracks. Now, many in the train industry and many who are unfamiliar with it would say that there is nothing suspicious about these freight cars whatsoever. There are freight cars today and in the past that transport motor vehicles all over the country. Sure, they converted the usual 2-story freight car to 3-story freight cars in this particular example, but most people today would look at that as productive. What caught the attention of investigators and researchers is the fact that the trains, like the one you are about to see here, have been modified over the recent years. Some now have windows, and anyone will tell you that cars and trucks don't need windows for light, or for air, or for scenic views, for anything.
Why they got a train that's got 3 levels with little windows in it? Huh? FEMA trains, people, right here in our own city. What else are they? Look how long that train is. It goes both ways. You have 3 levels, little windows. Tell me what that is. Prison train? Those ain't for hauling the cars. You don't put cars in something like that. Look, they're connected together. Connected together so you can pass through 2 cars. People, wake up. FEMA trains right here in our own city, people. 70 mile an hour. Let's see how long we stay next to these. That's where we are. Come Come on out and look at it. Soon. Every one of these trains, they're dual cars, connected in the middle. Connected in the middle. Connected in the middle.
Isn't that strange, people? Isn't that strange? I mean, those look exactly like what a prison train car would look like. And I'm going to tell you, I've been telling you about, my local area here where there's an armory and right next to the high school. And I forgot to mention, 2 blocks down the road the other way is some train tracks, and they are very active. They are moving trains back and forth there through there all the time. And so they literally can just drive people over to the train tracks, put them on, and that's that. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, people, how well they have this thought out. I mean, the trains need to be paid attention to as well. If you see any of these trains, if you see any concentration camps, I want this footage. You can go out into your local area and film your local concentration camp, or if you find these FEMA trains that are stacked 3 high with windows, bring this footage to me and I'll put it out on the internet. You don't even have to put your name out there, but we got to expose this stuff. We have to expose this stuff. Americans need to awaken to what's really happening around them. Things are becoming very dangerous, people. China stated that they would have already invaded us if they wouldn't find an American with a gun under every blade of grass. All right? And I'm telling you, people, America is nothing to mess with. They project America as weak in the news all across the world, but we're not, people. We're not. Under every blade of grass, they truly will find an American like that. It's not a joke when it comes time. There's so much evidence piling up on how they plan to take people to concentration camps that go against their plans, all right? And I've heard some things from a few officials that I know locally, okay? And I want to tell you some things. These things you need to know, all right? I'm just going to give you some snippets of information here. All right, and what they plan to do is, especially in like the smaller cities and in the rural areas and whatnot, is they'll take these school buses, all right, and they're going to use those to round people up. All right, they'll go door to door, rounding people up, forcing them onto the school buses. And what I heard is that they would take people to like the local post office area, the post office property, because it's technically federal land. Okay, and so from there, people will be stripped down and scrubbed and disinfected as if they were dogs in front of each other. I mean, there's not going to be any separate stalls to be able to get scrubbed down in. Everybody's going to be right there, your whole neighborhood. All right, they're going to scrub people down like dogs. They're going to put them in a jumpsuit, and they're going to put them back on a bus, and they're going to ship them out to some distant concentration camp. And let me tell you this, and this is the truth, and this is how it will unfold. Mark my words. Their plan is to separate people. All right, notice how with the migrants, and I know some people that know some of the migrants that have come into the country, and they literally separate families on purpose. They send the uncle over here and the niece and the nephew to this city or whatever. I mean, they really do separate people on purpose. And so they're going to take you and they're going to ship you off to some far off concentration camp to a different FEMA region. They have different FEMA regions. There's 10 FEMA regions. And so say you live in number 3, they're going to ship you to 7. If you live in 7, they're going to ship you to 3 because they want you to be unfamiliar with the area that you're in. So if you were to escape, you weren't familiar with your surroundings, and it would be very difficult for you to find your way back to any sort of help from any sort of resistance. Okay, so that is part of their plan, all right, is to separate people from where they once knew that they were, all right? But also, when you get into these concentration camps, their plan is to separate men, women, and children. Everybody will have their own separate area. You will not be with your children. Your children will not be with you. You won't be with your husband, and your husbands won't be with their wives, all right? It's just how it is, and this is what they have planned. They plan to completely dehumanize us, all right, is what's going on. They're going to isolate you. They're going to break you from everything you've ever known, and then they're going to try to re-educate you and turn you into a machine for their system. But I'm telling you right now, you got to resist no matter what comes of us. No matter what comes of us, you got to resist, all right? Because one of the big key things is they're going to ask you to turn on Jesus Christ. That's the biggest thing. Don't think that these people that are going to work in these concentration camps don't worship the devil, all right? You have to worship the devil to want to work in one of these gulag camps. All right, these places are evil. All right, I mean, everybody knows what the Nazis did during the Holocaust and the concentration camps, during, the things like happening, like say Auschwitz and whatnot. I mean, these are the Auschwitzes of the world that are being built all over the world, and it's not just America. America, Australia, and the UK are number one, people. Number one out of everywhere in the world for as many as they're building. All right, you can't deny it, people. You can't deny it. Something is happening. All right, they're gonna lock us down, and then anybody that goes against the lockdown or that goes against any of the riots that are happening in your city, anybody that stands up against any of this stuff that's going on, it's very possible you're going to go to a concentration camp. But we need to be good stewards of the information we've been given and prepare for what's coming. I'm telling you, times are serious. This is nothing to joke with anymore. Time is being sped up. You know, when Daniel's 3 friends had to go into the fiery furnace, there was 4 people in there, because I truly believe Jesus was the 4th one, and he was walking with them through the fire. And I just want to let you know that Jesus will walk through the fire with you. All right, he's not afraid to. All right, and no matter what comes of this nation, no matter what comes of the nations of the world as we move forward into the New World Order and the Great Reset, I want to let you know God has his hand on his people. All right, if you watch the way the Jews have been handled by God all throughout history, even though they've had to be chastised and punished for their decisions that they've made to walk away from God and to reject the Messiah, Jesus Christ, all right, they've had to go through some things, but God has still been gentle with them and walked with them through it because he loves them so much. And because of what Jesus has done on the cross, and for those who believe in his precious blood and his atoning blood, and who have confessed Jesus with their mouth and believed with their hearts, those people will be protected by God, because we're grafted into the Jewish vine, the Bible says. So we literally become spiritually Jewish, all right, in God's eyes. And so he will continue to protect his people through the times ahead. You have no idea. If you go and you research like the 6-Day War, and you hear about some of the things and the miracles that happen during the 6-Day War, and even other wars. I mean, even with what's going on in Israel right now, there's miracle after miracle that's reported. If you really dig and you research, you'll find that miracles truly are real, and that God really does have his hand on Israel, and that time and time again, God is intervening on Israel's behalf, and God will intervene on your behalf, and I want you to know that. Jesus will intervene on your behalf, and I just want you to know that you are loved by God, and no matter what comes next, whether it be the pre-tribulation rapture or whether it be a lockdown and we have to go through some things, God will see us through it. I appreciate each and every one of you. May God bless you. May God keep you. And until then, under every blade of grass.
We're going to fight. And we're going to keep fighting because it's easier now. And we're used to it. The rest of you are going to have a tougher choice. Because we're not going to sell it to you. It's too ugly for that. But when you're fighting in your own backyard, when you're fighting for your family, it all hurts a little less. It makes a little more sense. Because for them, this is just a place. And for us, this is our home.